Now, what should we be looking for early in this match from either player as far as who controls what or what's working or not for another player?
I'll start out with Steve Johnson and just say his game goes as his serve goes. When his serve is on, he's going to get a lot of free points like that. Aces, service winners, or like the first point of this match, the short forehand, he's going to see that a bunch when his serve is on. So for him, he really needs to get a high percentage of first serves in. When I say high, I'm thinking, you know, high 60%, low 70% first serves in.
30-15.
Dominic Thiem, tennis fans instantly will think of that beautiful one-handed backhand. No?
Certainly, but this is what makes this matchup intriguing to me. The big serve of Johnson and Thiem, one of the best return of servers in the game. Nicely done. Good wheels. Dominic playing some defense with that backhand there, keeping himself in play. But that slice backhand from Stevie Johnson there, that's where he can get hurt. So don't be surprised if Thiem is working over that backhand side of Johnson to open up the court to the forehand side.
Opening game of the match and first break point chance for Dominic Thiem.
So Thiem can hurt Johnson to that backhand side more than Johnson can hurt Thiem. Thiem has a solid slice and topspin backhand. Nicely done.
Big kicker. First ace of the match.
I love that play. Completely taking pace off of that ball. Trying to get it as close up to the net, real short in the box, but close to the sideline.
Two big first serves. Puts Johnson in position for a game point here in the opening game.
Chiefs.
There's the return you were talking about from Thiem. Johnson put it right in his wheelhouse there.
So you're talking about right in the wheelhouse. Most players, they feel, doesn't matter how hard the serve is, 120, 130, 140. If it's in their wheelhouse and they can get a racket on it, a player feels like they should be able to get it back. So for Johnson, he needs to get the ball out of the wheelhouse and closer to the lines on his serve.
Johnson able to control the court, beginning with that wide kick serve again, and he holds for 1-love. Craig Boynton,
Dominic
the
Thiem,
coach for Stevie Johnson, also happens to be Sam Querrey's coach. Doubles up with the Americans.
Craig Boynton has been around a number of years, since the 1990s when I was out there on tour working with a lot of players, a lot of American players, highly experienced. A lot of players have faith in him.
Huge return of serve from Stevie Johnson to open up the second game.
That's an example of hitting a serve into someone's wheelhouse. 101 miles an hour out wide, didn't stretch him off of the court. He paid the price for it.
We're here on court 17. It's the 4th largest venue at the Billie Jean King USTA National Tennis Center. 2,800 is capacity. Everybody has got a good seat. There's not a bad sight line in the house. Thiem played his opening round match on grandstand, and he was able to exercise some demons a little bit. He had one of the matches of the tournament last year where he actually blew 2 match points in a 4th round loss to Juan Martín del Potro. Grandstand was buzzing. If he had any negative energy coming off of it, he vanquished it in his opening round match.
Yep, I remember that match well. The crowd again fell in love with Del Potro. They love him here in New York.
It'll be interesting to see what happens if this match gets to the later stages and remains tight. If Stevie Johnson will start to feel the love from the U.S. crowd. Very international audience that's here, so you never know. But you know the Argentines are going to show up for Del Potro.
There's no question about that. Deservedly so.
Yeah.
Game team. 1 game all for seconds.
You almost forget that Stevie Johnson has a 2-handed backhand sometimes. He put both hands on for that return to serve because maybe 90% of the time he's hitting slice.
We've seen him do that a couple of times in the match already on return of serve, but you're right. He uses that backhand slice. You know, not very many players at all on tour. Men's side, women's side just go exclusively with the backhand slice, and you see Johnson tossing up the ball, trying to figure out exactly where he wants to toss it because of the sun. Tosses that ball up, he's looking in the sun. You can look at his shadow and get a sense of where the sun is right now.
Love 15.
But in thinking that Johnson's backhand is his weaker side because he really just goes with that slice backhand so much, that's why he runs around the backhand so much, to hit his forehand. And he can hide that, what I consider some of it a weakness. He can hide that because of his serve, because of his forehand.
Opens up the court. Just too much pace for Thiem. It's funny, we were talking about Del Potro. It's similar. Del Potro would chip the backhand to keep the ball in play and then hurt you with the forehand. Johnson, similar tactics.
Similar tactics in that regard, but make no mistake, Del Potro has a sweet backhand. I mean, when he doubles up with both hands,
Mr. Johnson is challenging the call.
Stevie Johnson will challenge that call. Chase review on the way. Review goes Stevie Johnson's way.
It's kind of interesting because both of these players are trying to employ very similar tactics, and that is, how can I use my forehand to my advantage? So Thiem is trying to get the ball to the Johnson backhand. Johnson not as much because the team's backhand is very good.
Game Johnson.
And another big first serve from Steve Johnson as we remain on serve in the first on court 17. On serve in the first, Dominic Thiem. Step to the line. These two guys played twice in 2017. Thiem winning at Roland Garros. Stevie Johnson winning Tokyo.
59.
Johnson got the better of Thiem on the hard courts. Thiem is much more comfortable on clay, as we've seen with his run all the way to the final in Paris earlier this year.
If you look at the position where Steve Johnson ended that point, he doesn't want to get pushed that far behind the baseline trying to hit a slice backhand. That is the worst position you can find yourself on a tennis court in his position.
Game 2.
Thiem holds it love, and we're at 2-all in the first. Hey, download the US Open app for all the latest scores, stats, match highlights, player news, celebrity sightings, and much more. It's the US Open app. It's available in the App Store and also in the Google Play Store.
Listen. Net for 7.
Dominic Thiem was battling some illness this summer. He pulled out of the Masters 1000 Series event in Cincinnati, Ohio, and said that he couldn't really do much for a couple of weeks. So he's just getting back to fitness now. Oppressive heat and humidity. At some point, that might come into play, right?
Oh, it very well could come into play, but it's kind of interesting, and I'm not quite sure what it is. And he's looking over at his box saying, was that serve in? Was it out? And you can get a little indication from his camp. But Dominic has pulled out a number of tournaments this year with a viral inspection in Doha. He pulled out of Indian Wells, pulled out of Wimbledon with a back injury. He had an ankle injury. So there's been a number of big events. You know, still the ninth seed. I just think if he had been able to play some of those events, where could he be this year?
Game Johnson.
Back-to-back holds at love. So we're cruising along on serve in the first set here on court 17. Mal, just before the changeover, you were going through all the withdrawals and injuries and illness that team's gone through just in 2018. I want to expand upon that and ask you something after this.
30 left.
Team has been questioned for the last few years about the workload, the amount of matches and tournaments he's played. He
Mr.
said that's
Johnson
what makes
challenging
him
the call.
comfortable.
Left service line, ball was called
Time
in.
for a chase for review. It gives us a chance to actually complete this thought. He said that's what makes me comfortable, but at the age of 24, he's been on tour for a while now. Is it time to start maybe rethinking how much work
30 left.
he puts
Mr.
on his
Johnson
body?
has 2 challenges.
That'll change. I go back to those years where, you know, let's go back a couple of decades, talk about Yvonne Lendl. Yvonne Lendl consistently played more tennis than anyone on tour, but after a while you get a little smarter and you realize, okay, I can play less and be more successful. The tendency is to play more. I want to play a lot of matches, get a lot of points, have an opportunity to win more. But when you play less, but you're more efficient, your ranking will actually go up.
Game 2.
And sometimes your body, as team holds on the serve there at love, your body forces you. With the ankle and back injuries and viral injuries that he's had this year, he's been forced to play a little bit less. But I look at his 2016 year where he played 82 singles matches.
That's incredible.
That's a ton of tennis for someone at his level. A little bit less last year when he was at 76 matches, but still a lot of tennis. You compare that to, you know, maybe, well, let's just throw out Roger Federer. Fewer tournaments, but he's winning so much, and so he's more efficient.
Even a guy like Rafa Nadal has been slowing it down a little bit in the last couple of years. Not to the extent that Roger's been picking and choosing. So fair to point out, Stevie Johnson is 0-9 versus top 10 players in major tournaments. But he did beat Dominic Thiem last year. Thiem is number 9. Maybe a first today, or at least an opportunity for a first for Stevie Johnson. Both players are just cruising in their service games. We've had back-to-back holds at love, and Stevie Johnson is 1 point away from back-to-back-to-back.
And this is one of the things I like to see from Johnson. Using that big serve, he knows he's going to get the weaker shots, the floating balls. Come in and put that ball away. I like the serve and volley.
(40-15).
Double fault number 1 from Johnson to go along with his 3 aces.
So from 40 love, it's 40-30. Big first serve, big forehand, and another hold.
Johnson leads 4-3 for the second.
Quarterfinalists or better in 10 events in 2018. Dominic Thiem, number 9 seed.
15 love.
It's a well-constructed point right there by Thiem. Not too often is he going to force the issue and get into the net, but in a case like this, when you see your opponent so far behind the baseline, there's no point just staying back. Nice touch on the drop volley on the backhand side. He has that ability.
So far, Johnson hasn't been able to make much of a dent on Thiem's serve. He's winning 91% on first serve, 83% on second serves.
Game, T.
And another hold in love for 4-all.
4 games all. Fitz.
You know, there's a little problem that I have with some of the movement that when I'm watching Steve Johnson play, and I'll point it out as we go along, but so often in some of these baseline rallies, unless he's controlling the point with his forehand, he finds himself getting more and more defensive and moving further and further away from the baseline. That's not a position he wants to be in. Even if he's not controlling it with his forehand, he can't continue to move further back and be in a defensive position. Now that serve right there, that's where you want to hit a wide serve. Shorten the court, swinging out wide.
Out. 30.
Steve Johnson looks a little bit mad at himself, even though after he won the point, he saw Thiem going that way and decided to try to beat him and nearly got burned.
Well, he's a little frustrated because he's getting down towards the end of this first set, and you can't afford to give any point away.
Still gain points for a 5-4 lead.
Game, Johnson.
And Steve Johnson holds. So Dominic Thiem will serve to stay in the first set right after this change. Dominic Thiem hasn't had much of an issue on serve yet in this first set, but now the pressure's on.
15 love.
Needs to hold in order to stay in the first set.
is the point of the match so far. Opportunities for both players to put that ball away, to put this point away. Johnson with the nice touch on the drop shot, unexpected by Thiem. Perfect execution.
Now we're getting to the business end of this set. 4-5 and 30 all, and Thiem has been holding it love. So this is the first real pressure he's felt on serve.
So for him, he needs a first serve in. Big point. Now let's see what Johnson tries to do. Does he try to attack this second serve? Should it come in, hit his forehand, his best shot?
Thiem was able to do exactly what he needed to do. Got the serve to the backhand and then pinned Johnson into that backhand corner.
And this is a point, kind of what I'm talking about. See how far Johnson is behind the baseline? There's times he's even further behind the baseline than that. You can't be in an offensive position in any way when you're 10, 12 feet or further behind the baseline. And he often finds himself in that position when he's using his backhand slice.
Game team. 5 games all, 5 seconds.
So despite a little bit of pressure applied by Steve Johnson, Dominic Thiem is able to hold. Now the pressure turns to the Steve Johnson serve.
Johnson taking a long look at it, but that ball landing right on the baseline. 5 forehand winners between 2 of the biggest forehands in the game.
Both guys now painting the baseline. Like the level has ratcheted up along with the pressure. Both guys have stepped up their game a little bit.
That so often happens towards the end of a set.
30-15.
We were talking, earlier. It almost feels like they're just trying to feel each other out, trying to get their own rhythm. But when you get 3-all, 4-all, 5-all, I mean, that's where you really have to do your best to bring your best stuff.
That's not a forehand you see Steve Johnson miss very often. So comfortable moving around his backhand.
40-30.
But he responds by putting in another big first serve. Over 80% of his first serve points is Steve Johnson, and now a point for 6-5.
Yes.
That's a bad unforced error right there by Johnson. He had the shot he wanted. Big first serve, short return. Just a bad unforced error. Now he faces a break point. His second break point. He faced a break point in his opening serve game. And on that point, he hit a kick serve out wide.
Wow. That was a ridiculous return and an insane inside-out forehand.
I don't know that I've ever seen someone hit that angle from that position and you get the thumbs up by Dominic Thiem.
Johnson.
And now a game point for Johnson. And a big come on from the American. He staves off the break point, manages to hold. And for his second straight service game, Dominic Thiem will serve to stay in the first on court 17.
Thank you, please, Ray.
Dominic Thiem serving 5-6 first set. Needs to hold to force a tiebreaker. Steve Johnson did everything he wanted to do except make the final shot.
And I love the play. You come off of the game change having just hit two big forehands to save your serve. You're pumped up. Little different tactic. Chip and charge, get in. I love that.
That opportunity to put some big pressure on Dominic Thiem came and went fairly quickly after the first point. And now it's 40-love. Game points to force a breaker.
Game team. 6 games all, first set tiebreak. Both players receive 1 additional chance.
That's how you start out a tiebreak. That serve coming in at 126 miles an hour. His 5th ace.
That is some assertive tennis from Steve Johnson to begin this tiebreak.
Kind of an interesting play right there. And I don't, maybe just Thiem didn't hit his spot, but that first serve, that was a first serve that came in at 94 miles an hour. Right into the backhand of Johnson. Not where he wanted it. Little interesting tactic there.
Johnson.
And 2 mini breaks for Johnson now. So if he's able to just hold on to his serve the rest of this tie break, he'll have the first set in hand.
And a wide open court for Steve Johnson, set up by a magnificent second serve. And he blew it long. So Thiem gets 1 back. Johnson still has a mini break.
Wow. I did not see that coming. After an ace on the opening point, getting 2 mini breaks, and then you lose 2 mini breaks. Didn't see that coming.
Well, here we are. Back on serve in the tiebreaker.
How important was the missed forehand?
Wide open court.
Wide open court to go 4-0.
Change sides at 3-all, little towel off. Nothing between these two. But shortly, one of them is going to be up 1-0.
Now Johnson has just a couple of seconds. He needs to regroup here. He needs to forget about the last 4 points and the fact that he was up 3-0 in this tie break and focus on a couple of big first serves.
5-4, Johnson.
Nicely done. Not easy to recover from losing all those points in a row. You see him shaking his head a little bit there, but he did exactly what he needed to do there. Now we'll see the response from Thiem. Same thing for him. He needs to come in with a couple of big serves.
Get it. He had a chance. That shanked return put him in position to do much more with the next ball. He just didn't.
Yeah, he wasn't expecting that forehand to come right back at him. And he had the wrong grip. He kind of had a continental grip. He couldn't really hit his forehand the way he wanted to.
And now it's Thiem's turn to miss a wide open forehand winner or would-be winner. And that sets up set point for Johnson.
So here for Johnson, does he go for the big serve or the off-speed serve out wide, kicking Thiem way off the court?
First set, Johnson. 7 games to 6.
Steve Johnson takes the first set on Dominic Thiem. 7-6, 7-5 in the breaker.
So I think Johnson wants to take that momentum from winning that first set tiebreak into this opening serve game.
Certainly a confident looking leaping forehand. Are you surprised more players don't actually play to the Johnson forehand? It was Thiem making Johnson run to his right that opened up that point. It seems Johnson cheats so much to the left to run around the back, and he leaves a lot of court open.
You're absolutely right. He does leave a lot of court open. He's quick enough to get oftentimes to the ball that goes to his forehand. But then is also quick enough to back around the backhand. Oftentimes to combat that, what a player can do is take a second serve return and go to the Johnson forehand. That's an example of there. Johnson cheating slightly to his left, expecting to be able to run around the backhand. But what does Thiem do? Goes up to the forehand side. That's like an off-speed pitch right there. 79 miles an hour. That's the slowest serve of the match thus far. That was a first serve.
Game 2. First game, second set.
Holds to start the second. Steve Johnson of the United States leads 1-0.
Love 15.
Didn't disguise it well enough and didn't hit it well enough.
I don't mind the idea. Execution is key on a drop shot. Too high, a little bit too deep. Thiem was just inside the service line when he hit that backhand.
Thiem gets a look at a second serve at 15-30.
Look how far back Thiem is.
15-40.
Interesting. At 15-30, he chooses to step way back on a second serve return, and it produces the double fault.
Second of the match from Johnson, and now a couple of break point chances for Thiem. It only takes one. Dominic Thiem, forehand winner. First break of serve of the match. Takes a 2-love lead.
That's another look at that forehand winner, and you could see Johnson just didn't hit his spot on the serve.
Thiem got to the final at Roland Garros this year. Clay's his preferred surface. What is Dominic Thiem's upside in your estimation?
Oh, I think he has Grand Slam potential in him.
Hard and clay?
I love his game on hard courts.
You do?
Oh, absolutely.
What about his game that do you like so much?
On a faster surface, certainly hard courts, he hits a big enough ball that he can dominate guys. He can push guys around the court. I'd love to see him get a few more free points with his serve. Quality serve, but I don't know if I'm looking at his game and say, oh yeah, he has one of the best serves on tour. But he does need to get a few more free points there.
I also don't think of Dominic Thiem as a guy who comes to net often, but he certainly picks his spots. He's 10 for 11 moving forward in this match.
There's no reason why he shouldn't do it more at just certain times, being very particular when he chooses to do that. He's never going to be a player that rushes the net.
Johnson tried to caress that ball. And he got the width right. The depth was just too.
Well, that was the play there that we were talking about in the last game. If you take a second serve return and go up to the forehand side to Johnson's forehand, that's what Johnson was trying to do there with Thiem. Thiem was moving slightly to his left, expecting to run around a backhand. Johnson went up the line.
That time Johnson was trying to run around a second serve. Thiem went with the slice second serve out wide, and well, Johnson was nowhere to be found.
Great recognition from Thiem. Now, I don't know if he just saw something. You know, sometimes out of the corner of your eye, you can see your opponent move. So I don't know if he was doing that before he even tossed the ball up.
Either way, Dominic Thiem holds for 3-love in the second. Johnson took the first at the Billie Jean King USTA National Tennis Center in New York. Russ Thaler, Mal Washington on the call.
$15.
Another double fault from Johnson, his third for the match, second in this set.
Johnson has already changed his shirt once. How many shirts do you think on a day like this you put in your bag?
You could change your shirt every set. I mean, you actually could change your shirt every
changeover. Yeah,
a couple of shirts every set. But you'll have, I imagine they have 3, 4, 5 shirts in there for sure.
$30.
30 on today's the day you almost want to put another pair of shoes in your bag.
Yeah. Oh, they have another pair in there,
yeah,
for sure. If not there in the locker room, but probably in their bag on the court.
Because you can get everything's going to get soaked today.
Interestingly, 2 double faults in this game, and this isn't the serve that it's hard to, the side that it's hard to serve on. The sun is at Johnson's back on this side.
Now we are 1 point away from this set getting away from Steve Johnson. A break point for a 4-love lead for Dominic Thiem.
Thiem upset with himself because even though he was in a defensive position, he felt like he had a good beat on that backhand passing shot. Feels like he should have made that and been up 4-0.
Johnson went to the drop shot again.
Not a very good drop shot, but it worked. That's a better shot there. I expect Thiem to take a few extra seconds.
Johnson.
You don't have the choice now as a returner because of the shots that the serve clock. The rules stipulate that the returner has to play at a reasonable speed of the server. It used to be, I think, you played at the returner's speed of play without the shot, without the clock. But Stevie Johnson walks up.
Well, traditionally, you've always played at the pace of the server. You know, with but you know, you could go back to the towel and you could delay the server a little bit. There's little things you could do now to, you know, if you need a few extra seconds. Because if you're suck and win, there's a good chance your opponent's suck and win too. So they don't mind a couple extra seconds. And the chair umpire can't, you know, ding both of you at the same time and say, warning.
The clock's at the chair's discretion too. Only a chair umpire that's trying to insert themselves into the match would really do that to players. All right, here's an opening for Johnson. Shows just how big that hold was. Remember, team had a point for 4-love.
Yep.
And now Steve Johnson at love 30 has a window of opportunity to get back on serve in the second set.
$15-30.
127 miles an hour off of the racket of Thiem there. Saves one of the points.
Saved another couple of first serves.
Nice hands. Big serve out wide into the wheelhouse of Johnson. He crushes a forehand. Just a nice reaction, using the pace of the shot coming at him.
Now a game point for 4-1. Going back from love 30 down.
Game
Thiem holds. He's up a break.
Second set.
Steve Johnson is up a set and will serve at 1-4 in the second. Easiest service game Steve Johnson's had in quite some time. Still not all the way there yet, 40-love.
Johnson.
Team's still up a break in the second.
Well, it's Johnson's job now, as best he can, just continue to protect his own serve, just like he did effectively in that game. And at some point, he's going to have a little opening. 15-30, maybe a break point on the team serve, and he has to be ready to take advantage of it.
15.
Yeah, Thiem at love 30 in Thiem's last service game. Thiem came up with some big first serves.
Yeah. And that's that little opportunity I'm looking for, and sometimes there's nothing you can do about it.
15-all.
Score, yeah, there we go. Scoreboard. Hit the wrong button real fast, but it's 15-all. This isn't open. 15-all, second serve.
Let's see what he tries to do with it. Hit a forehand. See where Johnson ended up on that point? That's kind of an example, and it's very difficult when you feel like you're on the defense to hold your ground. But if you don't hold your ground, you slowly start inching back. So right now he's on the baseline. By the time he hits this forehand, see how far back he is? So in a matter of a couple of seconds, he moves back good 12 feet.
Tension kicks up a notch or so at 30-all. Steve Johnson, 2 points from getting back on serve. Team with a chance to go up 5-2 in the second. Critical juncture. And a beauty of a return serve from Steve Johnson, and now it is break point.
This is the open we talked about at the very beginning of this game. You protect your serve, and at some point you're going to get a little opening. This is the break point to get back in this set.
Johnson's down. Uh-oh. Not only is Johnson down, Johnson's having trouble getting up.
Looked like he went over on that ankle. He's going to take a seat. Difficult to see how bad it was, but he was going wide to his forehand. It's bad enough to cause Dominic Thiem to walk across the court to the other side to where Johnson is.
Steve Johnson's back, giving it a go, trying to get the tape to loosen up and trying to also feel like whether he can. 8 minutes since the last point.
Advantage team.
And the challenge will be, and we saw him running from the chair to the back, he'll be able to run in a straight line. The question is can he plant and push off to his left or right?
Game team. Team leads.
Stay with this for a second.
For St. Johnson.
Okay. Because he had to push off hard to his left for that return, and that wasn't working. Such an inopportune time for Steve Johnson. He at break point to get back on serve. Now he's serving to stay in set number 2.
Time.
First serve from Steve Johnson, first point.
30 love.
Playing against someone who's injured is always an interesting dynamic, because that person will tend to go for broke. Hit a lot of big shots. He'll try to hit a lot of winners.
The injured player.
The injured player. And sometimes for the player who's not injured, and they know their opponent is injured, it works on them mentally a little bit, because they just have to focus on what they're doing. The tide can change in situations like this.
Johnson comes off of rolling his ankle and getting it taped and holds it love. And not only holds it love, but holds it love with a topspin one-handed backhand passing shot.
Which he doesn't hit. But it worked for him on that point. And you may or may not have noticed, but in that point, Johnson wasn't running around his backhand to hit his forehand. So we've already seen a level of limited mobility in him. And how is that going to continue to play out?
15 love.
Ran around his backhand there, but pulled it wide.
I imagine his thinking may be, I really need to make the point shorter. I can't afford to be in a long rally with my ankle.
And now set point for Thiem.
Game in second set, Thiem. 6 games to 3, and 1 settle. Third set, Johnson to set.
One set all. It's now a best 2 out of 3 set match. Steve Johnson to serve to open up set 3.
15 love.
And you figure with the ankle injury that occurred late in set 2, Johnson's going to need a lot of points like that.
Get that first serve in. Some service winners here. He kicks it out wide. He's able to just hit the forehand winner. You'll want to shorten the points if you can.
Still appears to be in considerable pain.
He's walking with a bit of a limp. You can see it on his face when he's wincing every once in a while. But it has crossed his mind whether or not he can continue. I guarantee you that. You know, am I doing more damage to my ankle? Do I truly feel I can win this match in my condition? And I think the answer to that question is going to come down to a lot of his serve. Can I just hold serve?
Game, Johnson. First game, third set.
Johnson holds serve to start the third set. He's not even going to go to the chair umpire side. He'll walk around the other side. Maybe have a word with his team as he walks through.
Yep. That's exactly what he's doing.
Court 17, 2,800 capacity, and this team is really close. Clearly, Steve Johnson is upset.
He's upset. He's frustrated. His mind is, every part of his mind is telling him to fight through it. And he doesn't know if his body is able to.
Now, at least on the return games, he's shortening points.
Yep.
One way or another.
Because that, as I recall, that might be the second time he has employed that tactic where he's chipped and come in.
First time was pre-injury and it was a sneak attack and it almost worked. This was almost desperation.
15-all.
As you said, it changes the dynamic on both sides.
It really did, and it's in Dominic Thiem's head, because there's a part of him that is, you know, thought, oh, shoot, maybe he's going to default here. So for Dominic Thiem's part, as best you can, you have to put that whole notion of I'm playing an injured player, that has to be out of your mind. I'm just playing Steve Johnson. But for him, he just has to play solid the rest of this match. Just play a solid match.
So far, a solid service game and a point for 1-all in the third.
Game, team. One game all, third set. Mr. Thiem is challenging the call. Low service line ball's called in.
Chase review. Steve Johnson walked right over to the other side of the court. He knew that serve was in.
2 challenges running.
So if Steve Johnson continue to do this, first serves, aces, work his forehand effectively, that's where he has the ability to stay in this match.
30-15.
Anything over 3 or 4 strokes, and the advantage goes significantly to team side of the court.
No question.
Now points for 2-1.
Game Johnson. New balls, please.
Steve Johnson's hanging in there, bad ankle and all.
Johnson
On
leads
serve in the
against
third, one set apiece on court 17. Rolled his right ankle. Got it taped up in a medical timeout. Still not moving at 100%. But able to hold serve twice so far in the third.
Love 15.
Whether it's on serve or on his return games, this has been the MO of Steve Johnson since rolling his ankle. First crack at it, take your best shot. That might have been too good even if he had a healthy wheel.
I think it might have been, but for Dominic Thiem, he really needs to get his first serve in this set. Granted, we're only 2-1, but he's 43% first serves in this set. You know Johnson's best chance is when he gets a look at a second serve. You've got to get your first serve in.
Net seconds.
Well done by Thiem. Really pushing Johnson to his left.
Really working over that backhand side. And eventually, Johnson cannot push off enough to get out wide and do anything with that backhand.
Net. First.
And Johnson leading the wrong way on that one.
Big second serve from Thiem. And now points for 2-all.
Game 2. 2 games all 37.
So look at the court 17 setup in the shadow of Arthur Ashe Stadium and the indoor facility, the USTA National Tennis Center. Steve Johnson serving at 2-all in the third, 1 set apiece. Johnson dealing with an injury to his right ankle. An injury suffered towards the end of set number 2. He hasn't yet returned to what would be considered full strength.
Emphasis.
but he's managed to hold serve. Feels like it's hanging by a thread a little bit out here, Mel.
But I feel like that's why he's still in this match. If he can continue to hold serve, he'll continue to fight.
$15.
Well done from Steve Johnson, moving forward to knock off the volley.
A perfectly executed point. A serve, a forehand, sneaking in, putting away the volley.
That's a pretty touch on the drop volley. And now game points for 3-2.
Game, Johnson.
Big first serve, and Steve Johnson remains on serve with Dominic Thiem in the third, one set apiece on court 17.
Mark.
So Dominic Thiem hasn't been able to land sort of the knockout punch just yet, so he's looking to stay on serve with Steve Johnson. The longer this goes, Steve Johnson's ankle probably will start to feel better and better. On the balls?
Yeah. Couldn't determine what he was saying about the tennis balls.
Looking at his thumb, like could there have been a
net first serve.
Thiem's kick to the Johnson backhand has caused him all sorts of problems.
Mr. Thiem challenging the call on the right baseline, the ball was called out.
Chase review. It's called out.
Replay the
smack the line. Very good play.
That's what you try at 40 love.
Right. Try a drop shot from your toes on the baseline?
Not really. Yeah, I mean, it landed around the service line. Not really sure what was up with that. Let's just move on to the next point.
Team holds for 3-all. In the third, it's one set apiece, but sort of this strange aura has taken over court 17, as if we're waiting for something to happen. Either Johnson deciding that the ankle's not good enough, or he breaks serve. But right now, I don't know about you, Mal, but it just feels off a little bit.
It really does, and if Johnson continues to I've seen situations like this where the injured player continues to hold serve, and then they eventually get the break and win the set. And then that's what I'm wondering. I mean, is that going to happen?
Therein lies the problem for Steve Johnson once you get into a rally.
His success is going to happen, to your point, the shorter the point is. The ace, the service winner, the serve and big forehand. When he can make it literally 2-3 ball rally and the point's over.
Rare shank from Thiem. Johnson's had more of the unforced errors. Perhaps because he's had to go bigger for much of this match.
30-15.
Nice and short.
Still a point for 4-3 for Johnson. I'd be hurting, but he's still saying thank you to the ball kids. Giving them towels. Good on you, Stevie. Johnson holds. Leads 4-3 in the third. One set apiece on court 17. Got taped up on a medical timeout, and he hasn't quite been the same player since then. Team serving at 3-4 in the third.
I still do believe that Steve Johnson, to that graphic a moment ago, his best chance for success when he's serving or receiving is going to be to shorten the points. The less he has to run, the less he has to do, the better.
That graphic actually surprised me how close it was on the longer rallies. He had 2 firsts in that point. First time the backhand return with 2 hands down the line actually worked.
Right.
And also the first time he effectively used the drop shot.
Yeah, we've seen some
bad ones.
some ineffective drop shots from Johnson, even from Thiem as well.
Oh, yes.
One that didn't really look like a drop shot, but I thought it was.
Mr. Johnson challenging the call, left center service line, ball was called in.
That one curved at the last second. I think he thought it was going out all the way until it landed. Wait a second.
That lines person was right on that line.
And, oh, yeah, it's out.
That is a good.
That was a good chase review, good challenge.
And now a small opening at 15:30. 50% first serves in for Thiem in this set.
Johnson felt it on that point. He cranked that 2-handed backhand return. He was in the point, but throws the forehand into the net. We're at 30 all.
Mr. Johnson challenging the call, left center service line, ball was called in.
All right, chase review, very similar to the last one.
And I don't believe he's going to be successful on this one. That looks like a very good second serve.
About to find out. And oh, just in.
Mr. Johnson has 2 challenges remaining.
Your eyes are better than mine.
Or my guess is better than yours.
Game team.
So Thiem holds, and we're at 4 all.
4 games all, third set.
1 set all, 4 all in the third. A bit of a rough go of it for Dominic Thiem since getting to the French Open final. Only 3-5 on tour heading into the US Open. His first round win was actually his first win in the North American Summer of 2018.
Some of that due to injury and illness.
Yeah.
He had to pull out of a number of events in the last few months. Ankle injury, back injury, viral infection.
That is a pretty backhand pass from Dominic Thiem.
So interestingly, we've talked so much about the ankle of Johnson. He's actually playing a very solid set right now. A very clean set.
That was a pretty solid and clean return from Thiem, and now it's 30 all.
Mr. Johnson challenging the call. Right near sideline, ball's called out.
And a loose forehand from Johnson and from game point.
Still giving it literally everything he has on that forehand side. He is just going for winners. He's trying to keep the point short. He needs a first serve here.
Johnson did well. That was the best he's moved towards his backhand side since turning his ankle in the second set. He was able to get around it, knock off the forehand, game point again.
Juice.
That was the forehand I was interested to see, because that's how he hurt himself, running to his forehand side.
But maybe Johnson has just gotten to a point, because there is a level of pain and discomfort in his ankle, and he's just got to the point where he can deal with it. He can deal with the level of pain and play through it. And oftentimes with ankles, sometimes the more you move, just the worse it gets. And it seems like he's just gotten to a point where it's not getting any worse.
Game Johnson.
So you just accept that that's what it is and you move on. We are on serve in the third set. Dominic Thiem serves to stay in it. Third set action on court 17. Dominic Thiem serving at 4-5 to stay in the third. It's 1-all. Steve Johnson of the United States. Johnson turned his ankle at the end of set number 2, but they are on serve here in set number 3. Russ Thaler and Mal Washington on the call here at the US Open.
So for Dominic Thiem, there's nothing wrong if he gets into a baseline rally with Johnson. He continues to go for his first serve, and he's at 50% in the second set. I say take a couple of points, a little bit off of your first serve, get the ball in, start the rally.
And as we've seen since the ankle injury from Stevie Johnson, that's been the MO, especially on return.
Back around it, see if I can
either hit a winner or set up a winner.
Yep, off the forehand side.
And accept the consequences and move on if it doesn't work.
Sure.
Had a couple of these moments in this set where Steve Johnson's had slight leads in return games. Nothing's panned out yet, but here we are again.
And what we've seen is a slight level of the play from Thiem dropping, especially on his own serve games.
Mr. Thiem challenging the call. Left near sideline, ball was called in.
And I think that ball may have caught the edge of the line. And if so, this is double set point for Steve Johnson.
Indeed it is.
(15-14). Mr. Thiem has one challenge remaining.
He can't get a first serve in.
And now Steve Johnson on set point has a look at a second.
(13-14).
Team did well to get that serve to the Johnson backhand. Everyone in this 2,800 seat arena knows that Johnson wants to hit a forehand, including Dominic Thiem. It's still set point for the American.
Set point, he's giving it everything he has, playing a lot of defense. Team doing what he needs to do, playing to that backhand of Johnson. But he's got to get a first serve in. He's below 50% in this set now.
Mr. Johnson challenging the call. Right far sideline call was called in.
Stevie Johnson challenged the call. We'll get a chase review, but he's already walking to the edge side. Oh, wait, now he's stopped. Yeah, he knew.
I mean, there are times where
Advantage
you have a
seems
handful
that
of
Johnson
challenges
has no
remaining.
challenges remaining.
Why not?
That's his last of this set.
Juice.
Johnson put that two-handed backhand return right on the baseline.
Advantage Johnson.
And now a third set point for Stevie Johnson of the United States to take a 2-1 lead on the number 9 seed Dominic Thiem of Austria.
So you can continue to see Dominic is trying to pound to that backhand side. Steve Johnson is just camped in that corner, not being able to move nearly as effectively.
For serve.
That's a good risk. Risk reward point right there for Steve Johnson. He has a set point. Second serve, absolutely run around it and see if you can hit the forehand winner. He did the right thing. It just didn't pay off there.
And Stevie Johnson, hurt ankle and all, on a full sprint. Too strong with the forehand for Thiem, and a fourth set point for Johnson here on court 17.
And all Thiem had to do, and I say all he had to do, was put the ball back in the court. Anywhere in the court, and Johnson wasn't going to be able to get it.
Juice.
Two second serve returns on the ad court on set point. He's run around to hit the forehand. Thiem knows what he's trying to do. He needs a first serve here.
And he got it. So it's game point for 5-all in the third for Dominic Thiem. Two big first serves from Thiem. Staves off 4 set points. And we continue on serve in the third, 1-all on court 17.
So certainly, we know he's trying to make first serves, and I keep harping on that point, but he's going to make it so much easier on himself. He's able to do that. That last serve, what is 125, 130? That was 111. Took a little bit off of it, or pace off of it. Trying to increase your chances of getting that ball over and in. 2 points in a row. Got that first serve in, and he won.
Both players under 50% on first serve here in set number 3. Neither has been broken yet.
15 love. Love. Game Johnson.
So Steve Johnson holds it love. Dominic Thiem serves to stay in the third after the change. Set battle on court 17. Dominic Thiem looking to stay in the third and force a tiebreak. And Steve Johnson
love 15.
Would love nothing more than to break serve and take a 2-1 lead. He is still clearly laboring on the ankle he rolled at the end of the second set. He now has a lead at love 15. Russ Thaler and Mal Washington on the call.
Love 13.
Has the forehand he wants, his favorite shot. He backs into the corner. And it was almost looking like he was waiting for Johnson to commit. Johnson commits to the deuce court. Badly misses a forehand. Another unforced error. 12 in this set alone for Thiem.
And there's the opportunity. Stevie Johnson had 4 set points. And Dominic Thiem served the last go around. He's got 3 more coming his way right now.
Third set, Johnson. 7 games to 5. New balls, please.
For some time, it looked like Stevie Johnson might not be able to continue. Now he's got a 2-set-to-1 lead on the number 9 seed, Dominic Thiem. It's been over 11 minutes since the last point was played.
Love 15. All.
So I suspect in this fourth set, from Steve Johnson's perspective, we're going to see more of the same. I think he's going to continue to try to shorten points, because that was effective and it worked in that third set. He's going to be relying in a significant way on his serve and his forehand.
30-15.
Thiem got himself a little bit off balance.
You know what, Russ? We've seen that on a number of occasions. On that forehand, he miss-hit forehands, he'll shank it. That one right there, it's down the middle of the court. I don't know if he's not seeing the ball well. It doesn't appear to be that windy out there. Very strange. But in that third set, you know, we continued to talk about the injury from Johnson. He just played a better set than Thiem. Thiem's level completely dropped.
And you pointed out the difficulty of playing against an injured player, and it's a mental and emotional challenge.
10 seconds.
And you're right. It's really a mental thing. You're trying to put it out of your head, and you're just trying to play the same type of game. But you know your opponent's level has dropped, and so did Thiem.
And that's where Johnson's going to have trouble. He gets that with a 100% ankle.
Yep. And there's this fine line. Thiem has the little slice backhand here. If he hits across court, he knows Johnson is looking to back into the corner. If you hit it down the line, are you opening yourself up to the Johnson forehand?
Dominic Thiem had no break points in set number 3. This is his first in the first game of the fourth.
Game, Thiem.
And he gets it. First game, break of serve to Thiem in set number 4. His first break of serve since the second set.
So now for Dominic Thiem, let's put 2.5 sets behind us. This is a 2-set match. And it all starts with his serve.
Love. 15 all.
How important do you think it is for Johnson to get the break back right away in this set?
I think it's very important. You know, oftentimes I feel like the easiest time or the most likely time to get that break and serve back is immediately after you break or get broken. Because you don't want team to get on a bit of a roll. Hold serve here. So imagine if team holds serve here, and then he gets a little risky and goes for his shots a little bit more at 2-0 and somehow is able to eke out another break. And then he's on a roll.
If he starts putting more first serves in like that, it's going to be tough for Johnson to do much of anything.
I mean, your game, and honestly, that's the case in men's tennis right now. Like, I consider this almost a free point. Short forehand, easy put away. He got very few of those in the third set because of his first serve percentage.
Game team.
And there's another one from Dominic Thiem. His 10th ace of the match.
2 games to love.
Break consolidated. It's 2-love.
Fault. Mr. Johnson challenging the call. Left service line, ball's called out.
So that ball not called by the lines person, but overruled and called by the chair umpire, Rob Baumforth.
Love 15. Mr. Johnson has 2 challenges remaining.
That was a big serve from Johnson. 113 up the tee. Certainly can't afford to fall another break behind.
30-15. $40-15. Game Johnson.
9th ace of the match. Steve Johnson's on the board in the 4th.
Johnson by 2-1.
One of the first longer rallies we've seen Johnson hang in and win in quite some time.
Right.
And I'm wondering, and you said you thought the 10-minute break would help Johnson. I'm wondering if everything's starting to loosen up a little bit.
I don't know. I could be wrong considering he came out of the break and immediately lost his serve.
Yeah.
Net first serve.
Something I was thinking about is maybe Steve Johnson would rather returned to start the 4th set, coming out of a break, just a little cold.
Right.
15-all.
Nice placement.
overran that
30-15.
one.
The inside-out forehand is so effective. One of his strengths.
Maybe the problem is also Stevie can't take little steps when he's on the full run because of that. He can't slow himself down. That's just ridiculous.
40-15.
Taking that ball on the half volley, full swing, full winner. Nicely done. I don't usually see that shot at the club, at local clubs.
No, that's high level. That's high level stuff right there.
Game, team.
Small blip, but team
Team
holds.
leads 3-1, 4 sets.
USOpen.org. It's your online home to watch or listen to matches in real time. Follow match scores with near live highlights. Dig deeper into the key stats and more. Visit the official tournament site at USOpen.org.
Fifteen love. $30 love.
Well, this looks like one of those throwaway games. The team doesn't really appear to be putting a lot of effort into this game. He doesn't have to if he can protect his own serve.
Game Johnson. Team leads 3-2.
Steve Johnson holds it, Love.
Johnson by 2 sets to 1.
Dominic Thiem still holds a break. Down 2 sets to 1 on court 17. Johnson, the team is up a break, serving at 3-2 in the fourth.
Correction, the ball's good. 15 love.
This will be a little discussion from Johnson now.
Yeah. Johnson's basically saying, how can you give him the point?
Right.
It was called as I was swinging.
And it's literally fractions of seconds that would make the difference here. But you're exactly right. He's saying, well, down, the call was made. I missed the shot. We should play the point over. And the cheer umpire is basically saying the call did not impact your shot.
Yeah.
15 all.
I tend to side with Johnson's side of the argument. As a player, what about you? What do you think?
You know, it really depends on when you hit the ball, honestly. If you hit the ball and then the call was a fraction of a second after, you know, you really have no argument.
30-15.
Yeah, but I haven't played with line judges. You have. I mean, does it affect your swing when they make the call right as it bounces?
Well, you're going to argue that it does. I don't know that it actually does because
okay.
it's literally a fraction of a second. Okay, but it's a good argument to make.
Big forehand winner from Johnson 30 all.
No better time for a first serve than right there. He needs another one. That one coming in at 131 miles an hour.
Game, team. Team leads 4-2 full set.
Team holds on. Still holds that lead in the fourth. It is full on court 17, 2,800 capacity. Word gets around pretty quickly when you got something like this happening.
And it does, and it really does. And I'll tell you, some of the outer courts, I mean, excluding Arthur Ashe Stadium and Louis Armstrong, some players love to play on the grandstand or court 17, smaller venue. And oftentimes it feels just as loud, it's just as exciting out here. It's a squash shot. Johnson having to make a little adjustment because of the spin.
It's an effective shot. Johnson did well. Both players struggling on drop shots today. It seems to be contagious on court 17. Nobody's hit a really good one yet.
You can.
I mean, that was a good time to do it, though. Johnson, behind the baseline, ankles hurting a little bit.
Just not real effective on that. But in the last couple of return games, team just seemed to be just looking to get him over, so he can get to his serve and protect his serve.
3. Fourth set, Johnson.
Exactly what happened there. And time is running out for him to get back into this thing in the fourth set and avoid having to go 5.
Love.
That was sweet.
Nicely done by Steve Johnson. And I'm thinking this approach might float long with just a little flick of the wrist. Watch this right here. No real backswing, just a flick of the wrist.
Yeah, almost all wrist. And team could do nothing but watch it drop. Well done by Dominic Thiem. Hasn't ventured into the net all that much, but he's 8 for 11 in this set when he does go. And he's right around that percentile for the match, right around 75%, 73, 74, 75%.
40-15.
Hello.
The first two-handed winner off the backhand side from Johnson in this match. Takes it early, just blocks it.
Game, team. Team leads 5 games.
Johnson made the return he hasn't made all day and missed the return that has been his bread and butter. That's on the forehand side. So Steve Johnson now serving at 3-5 in the fourth, up 2-1. Serving to stay in the fourth set. Team hasn't really gone after Johnson's serve. You think maybe he gives it a go in this game so he can maybe start serving in the fifth?
Well, what we've seen in the last 2 return games is actually not much effort from Thiem.
Yeah.
But I like that idea that you just brought up. A little more effort here if he can get in another break to start serving. But there's not a whole lot you can do with that. I mean, it's a high-risk shot, which is what Steve Johnson has been doing for, you know, the better part of 2 sets right now. Going for winners on shots he normally wouldn't, and it's working out for him.
There's some proactive play from Thiem, which we haven't seen on Johnson's serve in the last several service games.
Now it'll get Dominic Thiem a little bit out of his game and his element, because that's not a play he usually employs. But sometimes if your opponent is being aggressive and you do it in return, that can combat that.
30-15.
That's well done from Steve Johnson. 1-2 punch serve and forehand winner. Get that tit for tat on the Johnson serve. First it's Steve Johnson ripping winners, and now it's Thiem. Right back at you.
And what I like about that play, call that coast to coast, going from one corner to the other corner.
Yeah. 40-30. Game, Johnson.
Steve Johnson holds. Dominic Thiem will serve for a fifth set after the change.
Up.
The last time Dominic Thiem had this kind of pressure on his serve, he was serving to stay in the third set, and Johnson broke him. He hasn't had any pressure on his serve till now. He's serving to win the fourth and send this to a fifth.
30 love.
Nice.
And he's leaving little doubt.
Leaving little doubt, but way to get a couple of first serves in and protect your serve. We've talked about it. He wasn't doing a whole lot on his return games, but he was protecting his own serve.
Game in full set. Team. 6 games to 4.
14th ace of the match sends us to a 5th set on court 17 between Dominic Thiem and Steve Johnson. He gets another chance for a first impression here in the 5th.
Love 15.
Aggressive move by Thiem.
Nicely done. That opportunity will pose itself throughout this set. Being able to get in because he has Johnson on the run and pick off those little volleys.
That's well done from Steve Johnson. Thiem making him work.
I guess he wanted to hit a forehand there. Go from the deep in the deuce court to running up for a drop shot and running around and hit a forehand.
Just 3 points in, but quality stuff from both players to start this 5th set.
Nets. 5th set.
Oh, he wanted that ace. That's a bad miss right there. That you've got to put that ball in play. He had time. He had it on the backhand wing. The ball was in the middle of the court. He missed completely. Not even close to landing it.
Now a break point chance to repeat the feat from set number 4. First game break of serve for Dominic Thiem.
What we saw, he was going corner to corner on those last few shots.
Game team. First game, final set.
Steve Johnson has himself an uphill battle now. In the 5th set, Dominic Thiem breaks to take a 1-0 lead, and Johnson hasn't had much of a sniff on the team serve since the 3rd.
Nope, he didn't have much inroads into the team serve in the 4th set. And what we saw there in that game, Johnson wasn't able to get enough free points with his serve and his forehand. That's where he's been effective throughout the 3rd set. And even on his own serve in the 4th set, when he's able to get those easy, short points after 2 or 3 ball rallies with the serve or the forehand.
Love.
Most of the time you say a player sees his opponent take his hand off a racket to go for the slice backhand, you move in. With Steve Johnson, if you see him put the second hand on the racket, you know you're in a good position.
You're probably in a good advantage in the point.
Right.
30 love. Nets. First set. Nets. First set.
Quality.
Game team.
Now the team is starting to feel it.
Team leads 2 games to love. Final set.
Confidence oozing from the 9th seed.
Well, this is what we didn't really see from him, well, at all in that 3rd set. He just struggled mightily on his own serve in that 3rd set. Protected his serve in the 4th set. Now up a break here. As you see, the last 15 points, the team has won 12 of the last 15. Constitutes a roll.
Johnson can't hold on here. That would constitute big trouble.
Love 15.
So unlike the 4th set where we saw Thiem just protecting his own serve and at times not giving a lot of effort on the return games, I don't think we're going to see that right here. He's already up a break. I think he wants to close this thing out. Let's work real hard. Let's see if we can elevate our level right here and eke out another break of serve.
Love 30.
If for nothing else, it's hot. Couldn't get off the court.
It is still hot, but you don't want, see, after that 3rd set, Steve Johnson still feels like, okay, I have a chance of winning this match.
Right.
You want to close that opportunity. You don't want him thinking he can come back from 2 breaks down.
Love 14.
So what we've seen in this fifth set is a completely different level of tennis from Thiem that we've seen all match, including the first and second sets. 15 of the last 18 points he has won.
Johnson erases one break point. Two more coming. Thiem put a lot of effort into hitting a lot of forehands in that point. That was Johnson-like.
Seemed like the more intense the point got, the louder his grunt got.
Yep. Johnson is still facing a break point. Still staring down the possibility of going down 2 breaks in the fifth. And second break achieved. Dominic Thiem is rolling in the fifth, up 3-love on Steve Johnson. In set number 5 on court 17. Steve Johnson 0 for 9 in his career against top 10 players in the slams. But he did beat Dominic Thiem last year in Tokyo on hard court.
15-love.
The problem Johnson has now is that Dominic Thiem is playing the best tennis that he's played in this match.
Correct. No question. From his ground game to his serve, different level.
$30-15. Mr. Johnson challenging the call. Right center service line.
Yeah, from our vantage point, looked a little out.
Yeah.
We'll see. What do we need?
Yeah. I think that's the first one we both got right together.
Well, that's true.
You know, we've been going back and forth. Hey, a drop shot that works.
40-15.
Dominic Thiem is a runaway train at the moment. And there's not a whole lot that
Team leads 4 games to love.
Stevie
Final
Johnson
set.
can do about it, it seems. 4-love to Thiem in the 5th set.
Now, I'll just tell you, the tennis we're seeing from Thiem now, this is what got him to the number 9 seed. I mean, the tennis we saw in the first few sets, okay, he played okay. He won a couple of sets, but it wasn't his best tennis. I'd say for the last 4 games, this is the type of tennis that wins you a major.
Now he's just hitting on everything. It's all working. Dominic Thiem, former world number 4, French Open finalist this year, just the 2nd Austrian player ever to get to a slam final, the other being Thomas Muster. Muster, of course, won the French Open in 1995.
I think that year Muster won everything on clay.
Yeah, he did.
There was a period of time where he was so dominant on clay.
30-15.
Muster's career, unfortunately, cut short by terrible knee injuries.
Well, he had that knee injury that occurred in Miami. And it was
40,
after
15.
that knee injury where he actually played his best tennis and went on to win Roland Garros.
Oh, you know, you're right. I remember the Miami. It was a car accident or
Correct.
something, right?
In a parking lot.
Yeah.
That was crazy. Credit to him and his effort.
Game. Johnson.
Well done by Steve Johnson. He's not giving up on this thing.
Team leads
Couple
4
of
games to
come-ons.
love. Final set.
Dominic Thiem still has 2 breaks a serve, up 4-1 in the 5th. The problem for Johnson is that Thiem appears to be playing at full tilt.
Fault. Love 15.
Wow.
Love
Stevie
13.
Johnson pulling out all stops to try to get back in this one.
That is just the perfect execution of a topspin lob on the run. So a small opening to get a break back. I love 30.
15-30.
Problem that Johnson's had in the 5th is that he needs to come up with shots like that to make any inroads. His team has played so well.
All.
That second serve kicks so violently up high to Johnson backhand. Clay, it must be impossible, almost impossible to handle.
You know, you're right with that kicking serve, and both these players have really nice kick serves out wide on the ad court that can jump up. Johnson usually tries to employ stepping in and taking it before it gets too high. You'll actually see Thiem back way up sometimes, especially on clay, and hit a backhand as opposed to trying to take it early.
Game team. Team leads 5 games to 1.
Dominic Thiem now 1 game away from advancing to the 3rd round of the 2018 US Open. Steve Johnson needs to hold just to stay alive.
Love 15. Missed the team challenging the call. Right service line ball was called in.
Looked out to me. Just long. Good challenge.
Pretty much hitting all the right notes in this set.
That is one of the. He made it look very easy there, but that's one of the toughest shots in tennis, especially for a one-handed backhand. Take it early on the rise with pace, power, depth.
Follow it into the net.
15-30.
And now a match point for Dominic Thiem.
Mr. Johnson challenging the call. Right service line, ball was called out.
Yeah, Thiem's not sure. Thiem probably thinks it's in.
Thiem was like, I don't know, can't tell.
Oh, well, yeah. Okay. I'll take the chase review. It helps me out.
Game, set, and match team.
From 2 sets to 1 down.
3 sets to 2.
The 9th seed Dominic Thiem takes out American Steve Johnson in 5.
New York, Dominic Thiem.